Folks, welcome to another episode of the Soul Sessions. It is me, your host, Soul, and with me today, some say he's a troublemaker and some say he's heartless, but more importantly, he's a guest here on the show, Jackson Hart, my friend. Welcome to the Soul Sessions.
How you doing, man? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me on the pod. Been looking forward to this. So, yeah, man. Big thank you. Big thank you.
Well, Jackson, I always dress to impress with the guests because you're taking time to come on here, and I always got to look as best as I can. But Jackson, what I do with every guest, and we continue it. Every guest has a story, and every story has a beginning. Jackson, I want to know, how did your story begin as a wrestling fan?
As a wrestling fan, I think for me, in my household, everyone was kind of like an avid wrestling fan. So, my dad's a big fan of wrestling, but he used to watch like World of Sport. That was his thing. But he liked guys like Dynamite Kid and Rockable Rocco was, I think, his favorite. And then you had my older brother, who's a huge wrestling fan. He was really big into it as well. So obviously growing up, it was Attitude Era. I was born in 97. So I remember like Michaels and DX, and that was like my first. And I think maybe some of these were playbacks, but I remember like seeing the Michaels promo where he's like lost his smile or whatever, and you know the whole vignette where it's like, tell me a lie, that one, and he's like everyone was sad. Like I remember that. Like, that's like a big memory in my childhood. But yeah, like from then I just always stuck to it, and it was just kind of I'm a big fan of like characters and storytelling, and I was just hooked. And I like superheroes and stuff, so I guess it's very similar to that, really, in terms of colourful characters and stories and the moves and action. So I think ever since then, I've never really stopped. It's just always been there.
Hey, it's always been there, and it's the thing about wrestling, it can connect families as well, and I think that's something very interesting with it. So I want to know, Jackson, why do you think particularly wrestling has such a family element to, connecting families as fans and families in the business? Why do you think that is?
It's a cool question. Like, I think for me, I would say I think it's because it's kind of like your soap dramas in a way, but obviously you have your action there. So it's like the same way, like maybe for some, not my household, not there's anything wrong with it, but in some households it's probably like a very normal daily thing to like sit down and watch EastEnders. And we're all hooked into the characters and the storylines of EastEnders. Now, personally, it's not my taste, but like for that, it's the same thing. So like, if I go to my dad now and I say, wow, all this stuff that's going on with Cody Rhodes, Dad, it's outrageous. Like my dad will be like, wow, like, I really like The Rock and whatever. Because obviously my dad watched The Rock. He's like, but I don't know, this Cody guy's been, because he might not know Cody too well, but he's seen a couple of Cody matches. He knows that like everyone's watched it for 2 years. So he'll be like, oh, this Cody guy seems like the guy. Yeah. So it's that thing. It's just like, even if it's on in the background and you're not fully tuned in the whole time, it's the characters we're drawn to, it's the storylines. And I guess like it kind of emulates life in a way. So maybe that's why we're attached to it. Like TV, films, cinema, books. Like a lot of the stories that we watch are about family. Like the Roman Reigns thing, that's a family story. Like, and in general, you get a lot of that of brothers and things. So I think that's what it is. It's that connection that we feel watching that show. Like for me at 6 o'clock, it was like Simpsons, and then like it'd always be wrestling after. But yeah, I think it just depends on what you like. And for us, that's this thing. That would be my way of explaining that.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll get into the whole Cody Rhodes and Rock situation because the internet's been absolutely of that. But before we get a wee little question as well, Jackson, I feel like with not just wrestling, but the medium of, entertainment as a whole has evolved to the streaming formats. And when you said gathering around the television set and watching as a family, I remember that back in the old days of 2005. Good God, I'm but I think that's maybe something that's lost. Do you think maybe with this art of streaming, that family element of watching media is now lost?
No, I don't think so, because I think it's still the same formulaic principle. It's just in the modern era. Like obviously now, like you said, like back in let's say early 2000s, at dinner, I remember at 6 p.m. we all watched Simpsons on Channel 4. However, now it's like we all watch Disney Plus or Netflix. Like not I don't know if that's 100% every household, but I would say a lot of majority households will have. Certainly, you still get people watching like TV and like Love Island and whatever, but like streaming services is what people like. Most of your series are on that, like Game of Thrones with Sky Atlantic and stuff. So it's all. I think a lot of it, other than maybe a couple big shows, it's all Netflix, Disney, your Amazon. So it's the same thing. It's just moved over to where we get it. It's the distribution.
Mm-hmm. Of course, absolutely. And speaking of that distribution, you know, WWE announced that Raw was going to Netflix exclusively, which is a hell of a thing in itself. And obviously, the WWE Network here in the UK will shut down and then be primarily moved to Netflix. But specifically on Raw, Jackson, obviously, Netflix is a new industry as well for wrestling in general, with Raw being on Netflix. I want to know if you could see some changes to Raw being on Netflix. What changes would you like to see?
Changes I'd like to see. I've heard about them moving it from Monday, but I wouldn't want that. I think it should stay Monday Night Raw, personally. I mean, in terms of what they would change to it, I think the product right now is very, very good. Like, if you'd asked me a couple of years ago, there's so much I'd have to say. But now, generally, I'm very, very happy. Other than maybe whatever happened to Cody, but like, and even that's still preference. It's not that the product on Major needs overhaul or anything. I'm very happy with it. Like, it's very good TV. I think it's good. You know, even the characters that are sub characters and background characters all get, like, Nakamura looks great at the minute and stuff like that. And he's not at the forefront, but he looks really great. And, you know, even what they're doing with the tag teams and stuff like that. So I think all across the board, down and up and down the card, everyone's getting like a good showing, no matter where you are. And you look at like what Gunther's doing the Intercontinental title, how many people are in there. You get R-Truth with your comedy and your levity, and then Judgment Day, like, opposite that with like obviously the big dominant heel stable, and what they're doing with Drew is insane. Like, I love everything Drew's doing at the minute. So for me, I don't know if I'd have too many suggestions to change what they would do, but I think the premise is incredible. I think, like, to move wrestling to streaming is quite groundbreaking and probably the most intelligent move they could have done, because that's, like, you think about, I don't know. I mean, all of us wrestling fans have network, but that's still, I would say, almost quite niche in a way, because it's like you have to be a wrestling fan to want to get that. Like, everyone has Netflix though, or we all know someone who does. So just by being on Netflix and like the ability that, like, say my dad, who's like a casual fan, he wouldn't buy the network. He might go to a show or two or want to watch it if it's on, but now that you've just literally put it there, you open up Netflix, The Rock's returned, people will press the button. And, like, from that, they'll watch Cody, they'll watch Nakamura, they'll watch Judgment Day, they'll watch. So I think for them, it is going to be a huge boom when they do that. It's literally the best move they could have pulled. So I think it will be great for the business as a whole, to be honest.
Absolutely. And let's just hopefully Netflix is not going to pop up with a "Are you still watching?" because Raw is 3 hours and that is way too long. I mean, like,
yeah.
Oh, come on, timing now, boys. 3 a.m. in the UK. Let's be a bit compassionate to us now. Come on, I've seen the dark so many times right now, and that's just because it's Scotland, and that's what we're like 24/7. Of course, now, Jackson, the wrestling world has been abuzz with news this year as well. And, you know, I thought on Friday I would go to sleep and think, oh, it's going to be a nice, peaceful Saturday morning. And what happened when I woke up? The Rock returns, Cody Rhodes gets nothing, and everyone's now ablaze with it. So, Jackson, I got to know, when you first heard about The Rock returning and Cody now saying he's not going to face Roman at WrestleMania, were you like, oh, this could be an interesting story? Or were you like, pitchforks up, riot outside the headquarters and demand we want Cody?
It's such an interesting topic. So I was watching it not live, but I was on my phone. I couldn't sleep. I'm a bad sleeper, bad shoulder as well, so it's very hard for me to sleep in a minute. So I was up and I was kind of seeing what was going on and seeing, like, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of these bits. And when I first saw The Rock returned, because obviously I didn't know what Cody had said yet, I was like, whoa, The Rock's returned. Like, I love The Rock. Like, everyone does, really, universally. And it's really cool that he's there. But then when I found out the way they'd done it and that Cody was moving out of his role after winning the Royal Rumble after 2 years of story to then just give it to The Rock, it wasn't that. I don't know if I'm mad at The Rock. I'm just mad at that doesn't make sense. Like, I think even though it would make sense logically to just do Cody because that's the story you've told us for 2 years that everyone's invested in. Even if they like Cody hadn't won the Rumble maybe and The Rock had won it, or like something different where Cody doesn't win it and gets rid of his shot, I would have rather seen Cody, but I would have been okay with the fact that, like, well, this logically makes sense. And I think the fact that it doesn't make sense, that we want someone else, and that's not the story you've told us for 2 years, I think that's why there's so much outrage. And I completely understand, because I'm at the point where, like, yeah, you have to go with Cody. And I think that's what everyone feels, because I was talking to, like, my girlfriend about it, for example, and I was saying how, like, you know, if you've watched the show, and it could be anything, like, she loves How I Met Your Mother. So I was saying, like, if you watch How I Met Your Mother the whole time, and then, like, it's the 9th season or whatever, Barney's just got with Robin, and then, like, Joey Tribbiani from Friends has a guest appearance, and he's now in in NPH's spot, you'd be like, oh, that's weird. Like, we'd love to see that guy Joey. Like, he's really cool. It's cool that he's there. He's a legend. But I don't want to see him in place of, like, the guy I've been following for 10 odd years now. This story's been playing for 2 years. This is why I tune in every week. So you can't really do that. Like, it just in storytelling, you've moved the main character for someone who's beloved, but, like, they're not really here that much. So, yeah, I don't think it makes much sense. So I think they would need to change, and I hope they do. That's how I feel personally.
Hey, mate, I think a few 100,000 people are feeling the exact same thing as you, man. Are you surprised by how vocal the whole internet's gone about Cody not getting this spot?
I'm not surprised about the support of Cody, but I am surprised at how bad it's gone for The Rock. I don't think they estimated that, but also it looks bad because he was just appointed board of directors, and then, like, a week later, the way they did it, they didn't really. It wasn't a very good plan, because, like, you buried a lot of things in that segment, because you buried Rollins' belt, you buried Rollins, you buried the Royal Rumble concept, because why win it? And you buried The Rock, because The Rock's getting all the backlash. The only guy who comes out unscathed is Roman. But what does that matter? He's had the belt for 4 years, so he's doing all right. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think it was just more the way they did it. I think, like I say, I'm a huge fan of The Rock. It's just that if they're going for that, there's a million better ways to do it, I think.
Truly indeed. And I know you have a hat on, but let's say that hat is a Booker hat. You're booking a universe mode. You're making your own little story. So I want to know, say it's Thursday and it's this WrestleMania 40 press conference, and now you could put the story together and make it that Cody gets the main event with Roman. How would you book the story to get the ending for Cody?
For me, I think it can be saved. I think you just have it that either it has to go 2 ways. I know people were saying a triple threat. For me, you could do that, but I think it's kind of wasted. You could even, I mean, you could do a triple threat and then The Rock and Roman next year, or you could even do Cody Roman this year, Rock and Roman next year. Or what I quite like would be you do Rock and Roman, you do all the PR, you do all the media, you build it exactly how you want to build it for the table and for the belt. But Cody, building up to WrestleMania, he doesn't know if he's Rollins, he doesn't know if he's Reigns, he doesn't know how he feels about The Rock, and you can maybe start doing a bit of, like, tension there, I don't know. And then just have it at one point that he just says, you know what, like, this is my story. I do have to finish the story, so I don't care if it's Rock, Roman, whoever wins your match, I'll be there to face you in the main event at night 2. That's how I'd do it. And I'd have night 1 Rock and Roman, so you still get the big, huge match. Obviously, Roman has to win that anyway, which we all know. So there's nothing you lose from that being night 1, and it's still gonna, and it makes night 1 so big. And then night 2, you have Cody and Roman, and then you probably get, like, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, because I don't think it's never been done. And you have, like, 2 of the biggest matches that you could ever do. Roman has to work a lot, but he'll have a long break. So yeah, that would be my best way to save it, I think.
Hey Jackson, I can see it now. Roman pins Rock on night 1, and then night 2, Cody finally finished the story, only to get cashed in on by Damian Priest just to pull the rug out on us to make it extra spicy, because you know what the WWE like. They like to ruin the fun sometimes. But
Yeah.
who knows, eh? But obviously with Roman the Rock, they've got amazing physiques as well, and obviously with a design on their chest and all that through tattoos, and the Usos have got that, Brody King and AEW's got that. I believe you have one as well across your back as well. Am I correct?
Yeah, I have. So my family originally from Bangladesh, so I'm Bengali half, and I have from like the top of my spine going down pretty much just before the bottom of my spine. It's Bengali in writing, and it says "Time to let old things die," but it's been written up in Bengali. So like my nan, who speaks the language, when I went to see her, she said, "Can I see it?" in broken English, and it read perfectly, like she could read it, because obviously like that's her language, she reads, So, but I was happy because obviously when I first like got the tattoo, like ready and about to be put on my body, I was worried like this better like translate perfectly, but it does, so it's cool.
Hey, don't worry, you didn't have some kind of crazy stag do situation where you get something in
Yeah.
Chinese and it's basically like, yeah, that's not what it says. But you got it corrected, and that's the main thing. It's all good and dandy to go. And I think that's so interesting with tattoos as well. They can tell great stories or meaning or history with them as well. So I want to know, Jackson, if you can maybe pick some favorite tattoos within wrestling, something like maybe Roman Reigns tribal tattoos or something like Punk's Pepsi tattoos. What sort of ones come to mind for you?
That's a cool question. To be honest, I really like The Rock's skeleton of the bull he has. I actually the one that he had redone. I actually really like that. I like all of the ones that pretty much any Samoan with their tribal thing, just because I like the meaning, similar to like the one on my back, I guess. Like I do like the ones that it's like, because they're all of theirs are individualistic as well, aren't they? Like it's all completely separate to them. Although part of their tribe and stuff, like it's all a bit different than the next person. So I like that a lot. I like Rollins's one as well. I guess mine's quite similar to Rollins. Like Rollins's one's really cool. I think he has Japanese on his spine. Who else? Edge has some really dope ones. Like I know he's got like, and all of his ones I know that he designed himself. Like the suns and stuff like that he has on the sides. He all designed them. They're cool. Punks are pretty dope. I like Punk's these ones, drug free, the knuckle ones. Yeah. That's probably my favourite, yeah.
Some banging ones indeed. So not only Jackson, well, you would be a fan always, but you would make the decision to actually jump into the squared circle yourself. And I've always been fascinated about the British scene itself. You could take every year, I think, and it's very different. New companies come up, new companies, sadly close and all that, and just things are always changing. So I want to know, when you stepped into the squared circle, what was the British independent scene like for yourself?
I think when I first stepped in, it was certainly on the come up, and it was doing a lot better. Like, so when I first like started training and things like that, there was a lot more schools on offer. Now there's even more, but like, I think if we went back 10 years, 15, 20, nowhere near as many. And now there's so many shows that run. Like, I think even just say last weekend, there's like 4 big indie shows running, like all selling out. That never would happen like 10 years ago. So the business is doing really well at the minute. And it's because obviously you have a huge influx of talent. You have a lot of people who've come away from big companies and come back. And it just keeps churning. You have all these schools that are, training people up, and it's just, that's exactly how it should be. So it's really, really good at the moment. Like like you can look at sales, like all of the big, like even smaller indies do like 250, 300. That's really good. Like for like a small indie, that's pretty good. Like so yeah, it's all across the board, and the talent across the board is insane as well, from north to south, east to west. Like there's incredible talent and names. So I think certainly now it's really booming. When I first come in, it was certainly on the come up, and you could see all these things kind of falling into place. And now I think that's where we are.
Absolutely. I mean, truly killing. I know a place you're quite familiar of, as I'm as well, Ultimate British Wrestling. I've had people on the show before, such as Adonis Payne, Tony Sin, Harrison Leon, and Big, great guys to talk about this promotion as well. So I want to know from yourself, Jackson, being a part of Ultimate British Wrestling, how does that, assist you with your identity as a wrestler? That place giving you feedback and providing you a platform.
Yeah. So I think with UBW, it's much more of a family type show. Now, obviously, they appreciate good wrestling. So if you have certain kind of wrestlers on that roster, and you go out there and put on like a really good in-ring match, they will appreciate that, and they will commend you for that. And I think they do appreciate good wrestlers. And but it's certainly a family feel type show. Like it's very good production as well. I'm always kind of outstanding by how good the production is. It's very much like I kind of. Obviously now knowing nothing in terms of scale, but I mean the model that they're following is very much a basic WWE model of like, go out, have a good match, but we're going to have like backstage skits, we'll have storylines and stuff, which is cool because like I think a lot of indies just and obviously I get it, but a lot of indies you do tend to see by and large, other than a championship match, like just exhibition. Like tag matches will just be a tag match. A women's match is just a women's match, and it's only really the heavyweight belt which tends to have a story if they have one. But I'm a huge fan of stories and character, and I think going back to your question, like UBW, when I first started wrestling, I could do some cool in ring stuff and whatever and some moves, but like everyone can. So it's kind of like, for me, it's about finding that way to connect with people. And for a long time as a babyface, I think I connected with people. I think, I was getting good, good ovation from the crowd and etc. But I think as a heel, that's where I've really been able to develop my character, because UBW is very character focused and very character based. Like the people who watch and the people who get over and the people who do well, it's a lot from character. Do you know what I mean? Like Crowley's the biggest name from UBW, and obviously we look at how well Crowley's done, and a lot of that was based first and foremost on his character. He's an incredible wrestler, but it came first from the character, and then like a lot of the people on the roster now who you've like named and had on the show, like they're big colorful characters, and that's what they like. So yeah, I think being at a company like that did wonders for me, who kind of when I started was very wrestling focused, very like, let's do the toughest conditioning drills. I'm gonna burn out everyone. That was my mindset. And like, I'm just gonna wrestle and I'll put in my best 100% all the time. I never really gave it even thought about character and stuff. And being in that company brought that out of me. And now I'm at a place where I feel like my character's more defined, and I think UBW is a huge part of playing that.
Hey, absolutely. Well, and your characters are key as well, because if you have good characters, you're going to have good stories out with them as well. And also, you mentioned, being babyface to heel. I'm really fascinated about the mindset of that process. Being from a babyface to a heel, how does your mindset change from those two elements?
It's interesting. It is a big change. Now, for me as well, I'd worked babyface my whole career. Like it was the first thing I ever did, and I like had almost like a babyface formula in terms of matches and stories and etc. and how I perform. So I had to change everything. Like when I first turned heel, I was really struggling, because like the formula is completely different. Like it's completely different. Like, obviously, like in terms of a match, if I'm a babyface, I think being a babyface is, in terms of the actual in ring, it's a lot easier. Like you have to do more spectacular, but that's fine if you're happy to do it. It's just more that like the work is easier. So like if you're a babyface in a match, guy's gonna work you over for most of the match, and just at certain points you're just gonna get your little bits in, and then you'll do your comeback. You go into the finish. You had a shine earlier on, but you go home, sweet. Whereas as a heel, I think there's a lot more thinking you have to do. There's a lot more kind of, it's a lot more for you to think about, because you need to take into account, okay, so you're going to work this guy down, and then you're going to go for a body part, and what kind of story you're looking to tell there, and then also kind of like your interaction with the crowd, because it's on you to kind of keep them invested in booing you, and keep them invested in cheering the other guy. Like, I think it's a lot easier for a great heel to kind of save a match, or like have a good match with a middle of the road baby, than it is a middle of the road baby to do the opposite or sorry, like a really established baby to do that with like a middle of the road heel. So yeah, it changes your dynamic in terms of storytelling and psychology a lot. But I feel like I'm at a place now where, you know, I've done it for a little while now, so I'm definitely a lot more used to it. There's still a lot I have to learn, but I'm definitely a lot more used to it, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It's just tremendously fun. Like, I think the natural guy I am, I think when I'm in the ring, like I kind of want to talk a little bit to people and stuff, you know what I mean? So if I hit something, I've got time now that I can go have a look at someone in the crowd and tell them a bit about themselves and tell my opponent a bit about themselves, because I do feel like I'm better than them. And I feel like I'm better than the person on the outside as well. So yeah, I think it's about adapting. So it's a big change, yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned, you know, learning there as well. And, you know, as I always say, every day is a school day. You're always going to learn from some experience of one or another. I want to know, Jackson, say you could have a 30-minute, you know, like learning session with a top babyface and a top heel throughout wrestling history. Which top babyface and which top heel would you love to have a learning session from?
History's tough, and I'll be sat here for too long thinking. So I'm going to just go like modern, up-to-date era. If it's babyface, I'll probably say someone like an OJMO, just because I think he's like the epitome of a baby. Like, in terms of delivery, in-ring, charisma, story, everything, every metric you need, they're all there at the supreme high level. So I think for babyface, someone like that. And for your modern day heel, who would I look at? It'd probably be someone like a Spike Gervais, I think.
Ooh.
In terms of like in-ring psychology and things like that. Yeah. Throughout history, if it was a legend, I'd probably say Eddie Guerrero for either. Like, if it was just like, if I could learn from a legend, it'd be Eddie Guerrero, 1,000,000%. Or Shawn Michaels. Or Daniel Bryan. There's too many, man. Rey Mysterio. Do you know what I mean? There's way too many. But yeah, modern era, I tend to think of like someone like OJ or Spike Gervais. Yeah.
No, of course, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned Spike Gervais there, because I've had Lee McAteer, the co-owner of Progress, on the show, and he really highlighted how Spike has really been a pillar for progress in the modern age. So, and I've seen what Spike's done on, you know, pro wrestling chapters on Instagram and all that, and the dude's unbelievable and an absolute menace as well. What is it about Spike you think he's got the dynamic of a heel, you know, centered down?
Because I think it's psychology and it's storytelling. Like, I like moves in matches. I'll do a couple exciting things, but like, I don't think even wrestling fans, even like the super like big wrestling fans, we're not really there for moves that much. Even if we think we are, we like to see a cool one. We'll give it a big pop. Like, but the best matches you see, or the match you remember on a show, it was the story and it was how it made you feel and the psychology of how they told that to you. It's not so much, you can have like the most incredible moves ever in terms of theatric, athletic talent. But when you've had 6 matches on the card like that, everyone will forget it. So someone like Spike Gervais, I think it's the way he puts his things together. Like, there's a reason he's had that belt for so long, and why his stories have been the biggest and feel the biggest, and, you know, makes these baby faces, like, gives them tremendous, like, just a great story, because you need a great villain and he fulfills that role perfectly. And that's what you need as a babyface, and that's what as a villain you need as well. So it's the way that he's telling his story, not just with the moves, but it's all the little bits. It's, you know, the bits in between. It's the promos. It's before the move, after the move. I think that's why he's just he's just like the epitome of like a true heel. Like, no one likes him. Like, that's because he's so good. Like, and you'd think he'd been doing it so long now that people will get to a point where they want to cheer him because we accept he's very good. So now we accept that you're very good, we want to cheer you. But because he's so good at that role, he still gets like incredible boos, because he's just a word that I won't say, but like, he's just very bad. So, but I think he's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very, very bad man, and who knows what him and Kid Lycos are going to do in a steel cage match coming up in Progress. I dare to think what they could come up with.
Great story as well. Great story.
It is story at the end of the day, Jackson. And obviously as well with wrestling as well, you know, it's also building yourself up as well and representing yourself. And one way some wrestlers do that is through merch and t-shirts. And I know you've, you know, had one out as well. So what was that like, you know, going on to build your own kind of merch and brand?
It's cool, man. It's very cool. To be honest, I'm not like the most business guy. I don't know what the word is, but like I've kind of like I probably should have done that way sooner because I was a babyface for ages. So really, if you're a businessman, you start doing shirts when you're a babyface. That's the intelligent move. But like for me, I just kind of I can be quite lazy with stuff like that because I'm not good at anything like that with like designing and all that stuff. But it's cool. It is very cool. Like just sort of like a simple basis of you drop a t-shirt and like your family and your friends are like, whoa, you've got your own t-shirt? I'm like, yeah. And then they're like, oh, can I grab one? I'm like, that's cool. Like, and just seeing like people support you and this thing that you do, that's beautiful too. Like the shirt itself and what it looks like, I might like it or whatever, but like it's nice that people come out to support you and the thing that you do, and your family and friends and fans, or like, you know, oh, let's get a picture with the shirt on that you wear. Like that's cool. That someone like the feeling like, so I watched Jordan Devlin at like Progress Song Style 16 or something, and I think Jordan Devlin is a very, very, very good wrestler. So I was just watching him the whole weekend when they did a tournament. I was like, whoa, this guy, that's my guy. This guy's incredible. So I was like, I have to get myself a shirt of this guy. So the fact that like there's a kid or a fan, maybe an adult, whatever, who gets somewhat a resemblance of that feeling when they see me, or like, oh, I think this guy's cool. Like, I want to get that shirt. That's so dope. Like, considering you know, it doesn't matter if you sell 100 million shirts or you sell 100 shirts, you sell one shirt, you sell whatever. It's just cool to know that like once upon a time I used to sit in my living room watching this, being like, whoa, and like looking at Shawn Michaels, and I want the Shawn Michaels shirt, and then now someone wants the Jackson Hart shirt. That's cool. So yeah.
Absolutely as well. And who knows, when you maybe dethrone Cody Rhodes in WrestleMania 42, that first original shirt can be a good collector's item on the eBay. And you know,
maybe
someone's 401k is going to be set for life, so you never know. As well, Jackson, something to talk about as well. Obviously, I know there was a sad moment within UBW of a gentleman passing away, Morris Coyle. For viewers maybe not familiar with Morris, you know who was he and how integral was he to UBW?
So Moz, as he was commonly referred to, was very instrumental and important to UBW as a company. Moz was a bit before my time, before I got there, but he was very instrumental in, say, some of the people who kind of showed me the road. So you know, you look at guys like Justin Feller, Paul Ash, both of whom were very hands-on with me in my training. Justin was, when I was doing my beginners and intermediates, he was like the guy who was with me. And then from there, I kind of had more of Paul, and Paul was always kind of getting involved and kind of coaching me and showing me the way and getting with me on moves and character and etc. And he was instrumental for that. So I know that for Justin, he was managing Justin for a long time, and then when Justin was in a tag team, he managed him as well. Very close personal friend of both those guys. You know, and he did a lot for Paul too. And he was very unwell. We'd known for a while, and I remember Justin spoke to me and said that he'd visited him on New Year's Eve and had told me about that. And I've got members of my family who are in a similar situation, so it was nice to share that and speak on that. So yes, it's very sad thing, but they did a really, really nice, beautiful thing, which I'm a huge fan of, because beyond wrestling and beyond the ring and friendship and all this beautiful stuff, like it's nice when there's this real life stuff that we all feel, and you know, we stop and take a moment and look at that just as people who are in this thing. And so on the show that just went, It'll Come to Me, Baldock Bash, we did a remembrance. So we did, you know, ring the bell 10 times. And it was a tough moment. And for Justin, who was in the main event that night, he dedicated that match to Mars, and they did a big speech. And those are always tough moments. Like I didn't know him, but it's tough, you know, like being there silent and thinking about that, and, you know, watching like people that you've spent a lot of time with, friends and people who've like kind of helped you along in the business. all feel that too. It's difficult, but yeah, it was beautiful, I think, in the way that they did it. And yeah, I'm sure that they will continue to show, you know, his legacy and his remembrance for a long time to come. You know, he's also in the Hall of Fame as well for UBW. So yeah, I'm sure in terms of legacy, he certainly won't be forgotten.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I can see it just from the Instagram post as well of how many people have liked and shared memories. And it shows that what time he had on this earth, you know, he made an impact and was beloved. And, you know, condolences as well to his friends and family, because I can see the man was truly loved far and wide. True, great man. Obviously, as well, Jackson, as well, obviously, you know, 2023 just gone and passed by. You know, now we're in, you know, February already. The year is going quick ahead already. Jesus. So I want to know, with 2023, what some points in that year do you look back at and feel proud of?
Some points I feel proud of. I got Best Wrestler of UBW last year, which was really cool. That's a nice thing. Fans voted, and I think some of the workers vote as well. And that's always a cool achievement. You know, it's a social media thing, so obviously it's not like there's no metric, but like in the sense of that your peers. I think to me, the fact that like even the fact that some fans who watch me and some of my peers feel that way, even if it's not complete truth or something, or like, you know, I don't know, not to say that it isn't, but you know, it's a social media vote. So even if you can't take that as gospel, or whatever, that's cool. You know, that's a nice thing. That's what I would want. You know, we all want to be the best. I take tremendous pride in what I can do in a ring. So, and what I aspire to do. It was a cool thing, and the year itself was really good. There was some of my best matches, I think. I had two matches for me that kind of really stuck out. It's one I had with Joshua King, which was a ladder match, but both of those I feel was very story based, and that's what I'm big on. Like in terms of like my athletic performances, I don't know if either of them are up there. Perhaps I'd have to think about it, but it certainly for story. These are two of my favorites. The ladder match was with a long time rival. It'd gone on for like almost a year. Real life close friend. And we had a brutal ladder match. It was absolutely brutal. Like it was, you know, you had athleticism, you had good offense, but it was a fight, and I think it felt like a fight, as it should do in a ladder match after months of like like turmoil between two guys. So I was really happy with that. We got like a standing ovation when we went to the back, which is a lovely thing. It's really nice to be commended like that. The fans, I think, really enjoyed that match too. I had a match with Leo Edwards as well, where I retired him. A loser leaves town, and that again was very story heavy. You know, a lot of people cried at the ending when he had to lose, and that to me is perfect. Like it warms my heart a little bit, like just because that's what you're going for. Like, you know, and again, he was a real life best friend as well. If I'm retiring my friend in this big story match, I want them to cry when he has to go. Like, I'm sorry that it had to happen, but I want them to cry, and it was great that they did. Like, it was very story based, and I enjoyed it very much. I think there was some good matches in there. I had a really good match with Tony Sin that I really enjoyed. I had a match with Cy Gregory, which I really enjoyed. I'm sure there's more. I just can't remember. So it happened so much. Like it's just happened so fast that year. But no, it was a really great year. I went on a good run. I don't think I lost a singles match. So yeah, it was really good. It was really good. Probably the best year of my career so far, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Right, absolutely. It just shows that wrestling is a very fun and entertaining sport that we all love, but as well, wrestling has its dangerous side as well. And sometimes, you know, injuries can occur. And I know, Jackson, you're currently suffering with one. You know, I want to know what happened there and how's your road to recovery going?
Thank you. Yeah, so it was, of all things, it was a Rumble match. So it's basically a Royal Rumble. We call it the floor's made of lava. If you touch the outside, you're out. Doesn't matter if it's 1 foot, 2 hands, 3 hands, 3 foot, well, you're out. So we're in. Come in 25, doing real well. Did my thing, was doing my moves, and people are booing me, which is nice. And yeah, I went up for a choke slam, which is a bump I've done a million times. Also, the guy who gave it to me, Harrison, he's done the choke slam a million times. But yeah, I don't know. Just jumped, good base, good post. But just before we hit the floor, for some reason or other, there's a small pivot in my shoulder. So it just means that when I'm coming down towards the mat, I'm going that way now, as opposed to flat on my back. I'm going more like that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he's 7 foot. I jump real high, so we probably hit like the 10 feet mark. So it's like 10 feet of my body weight going through that shoulder, like clean onto the shoulder. And like people who were there were like, "Oh, like you knew." And as soon as I hit, I just felt like a crunch, and then and I could see that there was like this thing poking up like that. Like I could see it there. So I was like, oh. So at first I touched it because I'm stupid. So I touched it and I was like, oh wow, that's really painful. So then I was like, how am I? I was like, how am I going to continue this? Because I did look at the ref and I did think about just calling him and telling him to get me out. But I was going to be in the last 3. I know I'm injured. I'm going to get rest at some point. Everybody's there. The crowd, it was a really, it was like a 230 seater, which is I think the best they ever did at that venue. You know, and fans have all paid for something, and then if I have to get out, what's going to happen is that they're going to know that this has gone bad. Do you know what I mean? And it's going to put a weird feel on the match. So I just thought, okay, let me just get on with it. So I just started rolling the shoulder, and the sticky out bone slowly comes down. It's almost like a lever. Like the more I roll my shoulder, the more it like goes down, and then so it goes down somewhat into place. But there's no usage. I can't use it at all. Like I'm literally like this for the rest of everything, so I can't do anything with my right arm. But I finished it up, and yeah, we got to the back, and I just politely said to, I think it was Hustle Malone, I just said, Hustle, like, could you please tell whoever's doing the medical that they need to see me, like right now, please. But yeah, no, it wasn't good.
Well, hey, I hope you're on the road to recovery and we can see the Heartless back in UBW tearing up anything. I mean, hey, I would say even the Square One Championship around your shoulder would be very, very nice indeed.
Yeah, the recovery's going well. It's moving a lot better than I thought. I couldn't move this arm after surgery for like 4 or 5 days. Something happened in like the next few days. I can completely raise my arm to like a side raise, a lateral raise, front raise. I can put weight on it. I can carry bags that are not too heavy in the right hand, like my suitcase, for example. It's going very well. I feel quite good. The pain is still horrific, but I'm getting used to it. So it's moving along a lot better than I thought. And in terms of championships, I do like the Square One Championship. It's a very aesthetically pleasing belt, but and it's no offense to Harrison or the Square One Championship. I was one of the first people who ever was on that brand and helped that brand grow and get it to where it is now. But for me, I think when I come back, the aspirations will be a little bit bigger. I think really this last year was my year in that company. I think everyone knows that. And I think it just comes down to there's nothing else that would have stopped me other than the shoulder. That's the only reason. Like I would have won that Rumble and then would have gone on to that main event and I would have taken that strap. There's no one who's beaten me for a year. Try and find the person. Like find the person who's beaten me in the last year. There is no one. Like they don't search not found. Like you can't find them. So I think everyone knew it's a foregone conclusion, but even me, what can I do with one half of my body working? And Adonis Payne took advantage. Whatever, good for him. And Ricky Calvert ended up dumping him out, deservedly so. So when I'm back, like I'll be back for everything. I want revenge. You know what I mean? Like because I'm owed something. Because that moment was mine, so I want that back. So until I get that, I'm not going to be happy. Well,
Jackson, buddy, I think 2024, when you return, will be the year of the heartless for sure. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind. But obviously, as well, the UK scene as well, we have some beautiful world championships. I think of like the ICW, the Rev Pro, the Progress, New Wave Academy. So I want to know, Jackson, if you could envision yourself with any UK title, one of the big ones across your waist, I want to know, why would it be that title?
Oh, that's such a great question, man. There's some really beautiful belts in this industry as well. I'm trying to think of a belt. To be honest, mine would not be based on company. It will probably be based on how good the belt looks like. There's I like different type of straps as well. I really like the is it the Zero belt at IWN? That's like a red strap, silver title. That's really nice. Jay Joshua has that. That's really cool. IWN in general has beautiful belts. Ignite has really beautiful belts as well. Sacrifice, where I work, the ticking time bomb concept as a belt is really cool. I love that. I just think the concept's dope because it's so different, and the actual imagery is very nice as well. I'm trying to think of some more. The Jurassic Pro Indominus belt is beautiful. That literally, I must have a thing for like red straps, but it's a red strap, silver base. It looks like if the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger made a belt. Like it looks so cool. Like, it looks really cool. I like the Progress World belt though. That looks so dope. Like that's a very good looking belt. But saying that, probably the best looking belt probably is the World Rev Pro. Yeah, the Rev Pro, the top belt. Oku's belt. Yeah, that's probably the nicest one.
That is a beauty. I mean, I even think the Riot Cabaret belt would look very good on you as well.
Oh, the Riot Cab belt. Yeah, I mean that's both Oku's belts, but so he's gonna be mad. But no, they're both beautiful. They're both beautiful. Yeah, they're really good. Like,
I would say you just take both his belts. Just take both of Oku's belts. Why not?
Just take them both with one bad shoulder as well. Yeah, just.
You could do it. You're the heartless. I got no doubt in my mind you have the ability to do that, my friend.
Maybe when I'm back. Give me a little bit of time. Give me a little bit of time. Maybe when I'm back.
Even the greats need a wee bit of time as well. But obviously Jackson as well. Something that I love about the UK scene is that we get these big shows are now coming more regularly. And I know AEW All In is coming later in the year as well. And I love the environment they bring, that sort of Mania weekend down in London as well. And something I would love to see, if Tony Khan would do this, it would be amazing. It's like a British showcase battle royale, showcasing some of the greats of our whole entire country. So I want to know, Jackson, if you got to be put into that battle royale in Wembley on 0 Hour and just showcasing some of the British scene, what other British talent would you love to see in that battle royale?
Oh, like guys I'd want to work sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'd say OJ is obviously up there. Smashing Mike, because we've never actually done anything. He's dope. Bullet. I'd love to work with Bullet. I think Bullet's incredible. Tommy Carl is just incredible as well. Gabe Kidd. Who else? Adonis Payne I'd throw out there. He's amazing. Harrison as well. They're obviously all close friends and they're all amazing. Crowley is so good. I would love to see him up there. Osprey, obviously, selfishly, we all want to work Osprey. Spike Trevay, another one. Luke Jacobs as well. I don't want him to chop me, but it'd be nice to see him in there. There's some really amazing. Jay Joshua again is someone who's tremendously talented. So I think all of those guys are people I'd like to mix it up with. Because I always think about styles. That's my thing. I always think about styles. So anyone I think where like the style would work, that would be really cool. Connor Mills is another one you can't really forget. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I truly think that would be an amazing sight to see as well in Wembley, just showcasing our great scene. Well, Jackson, my friend, it's been a pleasure having you here on the Soul Sessions. But one final question before we wrap up here. TNA, they did a wee little UK tour showcasing some of the greats of our, Harley Hudson getting passed on the gut checks as well. But let's say, Jackson, you get signed to TNA when they come over for the next UK show, and they allow you in, say Newcastle or any other place in the country to have a match on TNA with a TNA roster member. Who from TNA would you like to wrestle?
It's either Ziggler or Ali? It's hard. Ali, just because that'd be amazing. I'm an Asian wrestler. He's Asian, so as like a sentimental thing, that'd be a beautiful moment for me. Ziggler, I've always been a huge fan of Ziggler, man. I love his stuff. I think he's tremendous. I can't choose between one of them or possibly both somehow. I don't know, but one of them for sure.
Well, who knows? Maybe if Ali beats Saban for the X Division Championship, you could get that X Division Championship off Ali, and maybe customize it with a little black heart and a red strap as well. Why not? Put the heartless spin on it. Well, Jackson Hart, my friend, it's been a pleasure having you here on the Soul Sessions. And folks, if you've loved what you heard of Jackson and want to see more of him, I will include a link to Jackson Hart's Instagram in the description of this video. Click it, follow him, and see his journey and bring in that heartless terror across the entire United Kingdom scene. Now, folks, I would say the whole YouTuber stick, but I have faith in you. You know what you're doing. This has been around since 2005. I ain't gonna reiterate it. You know what you're doing. So, folks, thank you as well for tuning in for another episode of the Soul Sessions, and stay well and